Hey you, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Jackie O. I am a former model turned full-time photographer and content creator. And this is Sadie. Today, I'm gonna walk you through a brand photo shoot from start to finish. This means from the time they inquire to the photo shoot, all the way through until the final images are delivered. Now, I'm not the kind of photographer that just shoots anything. I've found a couple of niches that I personally like to stick to. Headshots, branding and lifestyle, editorials are really what I've come to be known for and are my specialty. I don't do weddings, families, pets, events, I can't. God bless those of you that do, but like, my anxiety could never. So let's get started with the very first step, the inquiry. All right, so initially this client started following me on Instagram, and sometimes what I'll do with a new follower is I'll give them a quick glance just to see if they would potentially be a good fit for my services. In this case, she was a small business in my local area, so immediately I sent her a message thanking her for following and if she needed anything to let me know. Now, I know this could potentially be very tedious, and there are apps out there that will automatically message new followers. However, I didn't do that in this situation because A, I don't want to spam people unnecessarily, and B, I like to be in control of who I'm messaging. I may or may not have control issues, but we'll unpack that at a later day. Anywho, as you can see, it wasn't until about 4 months later that she actually replied and inquired about scheduling a shoot. Turns out she was actually referred to me by one of her clients that I had shot before. It's a small world after all. So see, word of mouth and patience really does pay off. I always say, keep posting what you do. You never know who's out there watching and waiting to book a shoot with you. So after I get a general idea of the shoot that we're gonna do, I always send my price package sheet immediately. I pre-make them in Canva for all my different genres, and then I save them to my favorites folder in my phone so that I can just easily send them off whenever I need to. I like to give them my starting prices really early on just so we're not wasting each other's time. I also ask for their email at this time for 2 reasons. 1, so I can send them the questionnaire, which we'll get into, and 2, so I can add them to my ever-growing email list that I can send my newsletters or other promotions that I'm having at that time. Because like in the event that they don't book right then and there after seeing my prices, maybe later on when I'm running a special, that will give them more of an incentive to book. Right, moving on to the next step. After they review the price sheet and they let me know which package they want to go with, I then send them the questionnaire to fill out. The questionnaire consists of about 30 questions ranging from, what are these photos going to be used for to what's your favorite music. I try to get as many details about them as possible so that I have a clear understanding of the mission and I can price them more accurately. Because you don't know if they're going to need a studio, if they're going to need makeup artists, if they're going to need, all these different things. So it's better to give them a questionnaire, they can answer all those, and then later on you can give them a more accurate price. After they fill out the questionnaire, we jump on a discovery call via Zoom where we go over the questionnaire, I answer any questions that they have, and we schedule a date. And if their package includes, this is when I would start to put together a mood board for them. I'll share my screen, we'll jump on Pinterest and Instagram and just look for inspiration and poses. This is an important step because it helps us get on the same page visually. They have an overall idea of what the image is gonna look like, and I'm gonna know what lenses to bring, how to light it, and how I'm gonna edit it afterwards. We also use this during the shoot to ensure that we don't run out of poses or we just don't forget something. Also, getting on a call where you can see each other's faces and hear each other's voices is super important in building that relationship and trust. They're about to spend a lot of money and get very vulnerable with you. You don't want to feel like complete strangers at the shoot. And if you're a person that doesn't like to be on camera, I guess that's why you're a photographer, but at least get on a phone call. I usually spend about an hour on these discovery calls with them, and it makes a huge difference and they really appreciate it. Once that's over and we've nailed down all the details, I'll send them a couple of emails. Number 1, the contract. This will include things like time, location, deliverables agreed upon, amount to be paid, and also the model release form. Very important you have both of these things, even if you're just shooting your family and friends. It's not weird. If anything, it makes everyone feel a lot more comfortable about the situation. And number 2, the invoice. I have clients pay the entire amount up front to secure the booking date. I used to just take a deposit, but I found that people are a lot less likely to cancel when they've already paid the full amount. I do allow partial refunds up to a certain amount of time, however. 3, a calendar invite. This way, you know, I know, we all know when the shoot is, and you can't give me the excuse that you forgot because I know it's on your calendar. Pro tip, I'll include the address of the location in that calendar invite. That way, when they get in the car, it automatically pops up on your Maps application and they're not fumbling through old emails trying to find the address. Number 4, a call sheet. This is going to include a debrief of the conversation we had on our discovery call, a link to their mood board, any wardrobe suggestions, props, and anything else that just pertains to the shoot. They have access to my email and my phone number, and I encourage them to send me pictures of outfits so that we can make that decision together. Which brings us to the day we've all been waiting for, shoot day. The night before, I prep everything, I pack, and then I put it all into my trusty cart so that I can just roll out the door in the morning. I'm very prone to forgetting things and I get very stressed out easily, so I find having this little system gives me a peace of mind. Depending on the location, sometimes I'll arrive early just to scope out the scene and see what shots I want to get. Today I arrived while the client was getting her makeup done, which gave me plenty of time to set up, scope out shots, and get some behind the scenes for everybody. I also take this time to go over the mood board and the goals of the shoot just to triple check that we are all on the same page. Once we got the outfits planned, I started her off with some simple natural light headshots. These are a good way to loosen up in the beginning since it doesn't require showing their entire body. Plus, I tell a couple jokes, which, you know, always lightens the mood. She had these big, beautiful windows which let in a ton of light, which is nice. Even though some situations call for flash, I usually prefer natural light when I can. Today I'm shooting on the Canon EOS R and switching between 50mm 1.4 and the 24-70 2.8. I'm using the 50mm for the headshots because the compression of that lens allows for the face to look more natural like it would in real life, and I want to get that really blurry background. Once we moved over to the next scene, I switched lenses to the 24-70 because I wasn't able to get far back enough and I needed that wider focal length. But for the most part, I stuck with that 50mm to take advantage of the low aperture. There was a lot going on in the background at times, so I wanted to blur out the background while still keeping her in focus. A lot of times, especially with natural light, I'll shoot slightly underexposed. This is to ensure I don't blow out the highlights, but also to retain those yummy details in the shadows once I get into editing. Even as a self-proclaimed queen of posing, it's easy to get wrapped up in the moment and forget poses. It happens to me all the time. That's when I bust out the mood board. It's so important to have that reference during the shoot. Your client will also appreciate a visual that they can replicate as best they can. Also very important to keep communicating during the shoot. I remember back when I was modeling, I worked with some photographers that were completely silent during the session, like nothing. It made me get in my head and think like, oh, I'm tanking this. Oh, these are turning out terribly. And like that dip in my confidence showed in the pictures. So remember to always keep up the positive affirmations, and if you need to make a change, do it delicately or do it with humor. We were having a time, we turned on music, we were dancing, laughing, cracking up, and I really think that's why these photos came out so well, because that good time we were having shined through. The last look was our favorite for obvious reasons. Look at that dress and shoes. This particular shoot took 4 hours, included 4 looks and 25 edited images. And now it's time for the real work, editing and delivering. Immediately after the shoot, I dump my cards into Lightroom. Now, sometimes on shoots, I'll tether into Capture One, but eventually I always bring it into Lightroom to do my color editing. This is completely preference. I've always used Lightroom. I like it. All my presets are there. I'm comfortable with it, so we're using it. So I'll go through and do my initial culling of the images, taking out any bloopers or blurry ones. And this might be a little controversial, but I apply a very minimum amount of color correcting on the first round of culled images.
Jackie, why are you doing that? You're wasting so much time. It's so unnecessary.
This isn't very time consuming for me because I really try to make sure I get everything right in camera so that I can just apply these corrections in bulk. Click of a button. And I do this for a few reasons. First of all, clients don't really know what raw means. They'll see your dark, flat, desaturated photos and think, wow, this guy sucks and I just wasted a lot of money. So a little bit of color correcting goes a long way. And second, when they can see the potential of photos, they're more inclined to choose more, AKA buy more. You see where I'm going with this? A little extra work for a lot more payoff. Bing bang. Within 48 hours of the shoot, I upload these culled images into a gallery where the client can choose which photos they want to be edited. I use Shootproof. I like how easily you can apply a watermark, which you better do because clients are sneaky and they will just screenshot images of the gallery and upload them to social media, raw and unedited and everything, which sends me spiraling. Once they've made their selection, I get into the editing. Now, I'm not gonna go into my full editing process. That'll be for another video, but I am gonna put you onto a major tip that's gonna save you a ton of time editing. 2 letters, A, AI. If you aren't using AI in your photography business, what are you doing? No, seriously, what are you doing? Rebelling against the machine? Grow up. Or maybe you just genuinely don't know where to start. Well, let me put you on to Evoto. It's an AI editing software that allows me to do things like skin retouching, flyaway and wrinkle remover, all at the touch of a button. I'm not even sponsored by them. I just genuinely don't know what I would do without it. But hey, Evoto, if you want to sponsor me, just holler at your girl. Anyway, it's great for a lot of things, but usually I do bring it into Photoshop afterwards just to put on the finishing touches. Once the photos are done and edited and I've emerged from my dark cave, I will upload them into an online gallery like PicTime where they can download the high-res versions or order prints. It's just a much nicer experience than sending them a Dropbox link. Like, we're adults now. In that email letting them know that their photos are ready, I also use that opportunity to ask them to leave a Google review if they enjoyed their experience, which usually they do. Leave a Google review. Of course they enjoyed their experience, duh. The Google reviews are super important because they give you that credibility. Don't you always read the reviews before you buy something on Amazon? Well, you should, but I certainly do, and that's how you have to think about it. When it comes to them tagging me in their photos on socials, I don't require it. However, most people know it's good form and are happy to do so. Well, I think that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, do all of those things. It really helps out the channel now that I'm trying to start up again. But I'll see you on the next one.